All right, so everyone is back. Everyone's back from the breakout rooms. Okay. All right, so looking at your responses, first of all, it looks like there is some still uncertainty about what exclusivity principle is. Just look at a couple of, so some responses are really spot on. So when you talk about relevance, group number 4, so breakout room number 4, you guys write, the response is likely to be the same for all the different colors, so there's no need for grouping based on color preference. So this way the relevance principle is violated. Relevance principle is violated when some preference is not driving consumer choice, right? So this is basically as close to a model response as could be. Well done, guys. And some of you answered in a very similar spirit. I'm not going to read all, but yeah, if it's along the same lines, that color preferences don't predict choice, it's not, don't drive consumer decisions. This is the good response to this. Why does this violate the relevance criterion possibly? And for a similar reason, it will violate the exclusivity principle. So some of you are writing about the product not being exclusive, not having other features. Again, exclusivity principle is not, when we talk about segmentation, exclusivity principle is this idea that a segment that you identified based on a given criterion is sufficiently different in its preferences from a segment that you identified, on this criterion as, so people who prefer red in their decisions, in their preferences, they'll be very different from people who prefer pink. In that sense, it's in here, it very much will overlap with the relevance principle. Only with exclusivity, sometimes you can have a criterion that's really relevant, but we divided, for example, in this particular offering, you see that there's a teddy bear that's like mostly pink and a teddy bear that's pink, but also orange. So assuming that there are 6 segments that they want to cater to, these 2 segments are probably also going to be very similar in terms of their preferences. So there's this unnecessary division of consumers into groups based on a very subtle difference in their possible preferences. Exclusivity, if it's a question about segmentation and you want to explain why the segments may not be exclusive, we don't talk about, it's not a question about luxury products. It's not a question about customization, making something truly exclusive. It's about, is segment A and segment, are segments A and segments B sufficiently different from one another? So those of you who answered along the lines of, along similar lines of relevance, you were correct, because if color doesn't explain enough of variation in consumer taste, your segments can be merged and treated as one. So we could just as well treat these people with one offering, they just want a teddy bear. So anything related, so when we ask about violation of exclusivity principle, answer in terms of consumer preferences and how they differ or don't differ sufficiently, not in terms of how you would design the product. It's just an answer to a completely different question. Exhaustiveness principle. So some of you also gave it a shot. Exhaustiveness is just a different word for comprehensiveness, and it's just what the comprehensiveness stands for. Exhaustiveness, that you covered the whole market. So this is here, if there was indeed, if color indeed explains consumer preferences quite well. If we then, for instance, if we missed out on those who like black teddy bears, then this is a violation of exhaustiveness principles. We didn't cover the whole color spectrum, assuming that color does matter, color is relevant. This division still may not have been comprehensive or exhaustive, just because, we have a rather limited color range here. We cater to groups of people with only 6 preferred colors, while probably there is more. So again, a good answer for the exclusivity is it's likely from the same breakout room 4 that consumers from different segments won't be different based on the color. Or another possible answer is that some segments, because it looks like the underlying color preferences are very similar, as for the two teddy bears I mentioned, they probably can be merged and treated as one. That's the basic idea, underlying idea there. So I think, yeah, the closest we got is the team number 4, but we'll go through your answers one more time and just highlight the ones that are close enough. So if you, after this session, you can come back to this Google Doc and take a look if you're just curious about what answers kind of conform more or less to this logic. But by and large, this is the main idea. Today we took a little bit longer with the questions, so it's good that well, you want to clarify things. For targeting exercise, we didn't have time to work on it, but the main idea for the final assessment and in general, when thinking about targeting, think about this for any audience you consider. Think about both the direct and indirect benefits or costs they bring you. Already question came up, what are the strategic benefits? So look them up one more time. In the examples are in the videos, and also in the readings it explains pretty well what are the strategic benefits, also corresponding very much to the strategic goals that you might have to worry about. All right, we'll stay with, I'll stay for the if you have any remaining questions. Otherwise, you're free to go for another 15 minutes. The session will stay open. So, well done. There is no, for lectures, there is no homework. You just have to follow the, well, read the assigned readings for the next session. You don't have to, well, performing these exercises is just a way for you to see if you're on track with the main concepts of the course. It's a way to practice also before the assessment. And yeah, it's not an assignment for you. It's, well, it's preparation. So it's training. All right. Yeah, have a nice day, everyone. Well done. And see you all in 2 weeks. Next week, we don't have a lecture. The week after, we continue with discussion of value.
Bye. So until then, it's just best to continue with the lecture material on Canvas. You mean the videos and the book, right?
Yes. So we'll post the value probably next week. You can watch any pre-recorded materials. Feel free to watch them in advance too. You don't have to watch them during the session. It's just that we received feedback from students that it's difficult to somehow be left alone without any schedule. So we decided that we'll have these designated spots when kind of content when these pre-recorded materials should be watched. You're free to do it in advance, and then just focus on bringing up questions that you had during watching the material.
Okay, thank you very much then. Bye.
I have a question about the book. Did they use another book the last year?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Nice. Thanks for the answer.
Will the answers of this exercise be posted anywhere? You said.
Well, you can just revisit the link, so you can look. We'll highlight the responses that are the closest to the model responses.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we'll do. You can just go back to it.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Recording stopped.
Right. So if there are no more questions, then Anne and I will conclude the session and see you all in 2 weeks.